Hi, folks. Thanks for having us today. I'm thrilled to be able to have a virtual fireside chat with Jim McCoy from Nationwide, who's going to have lots of wisdom to share from his 17 years, I think you said, Jim, right, at Nationwide,
Yep.
and especially from his most recent 7 years overseeing Nationwide sports marketing efforts. Just a quick introduction on my side. My name is Matt Kershaw. I'm the VP of Agency and Client Development at Vox Media. Vox Media is home to 13 beloved digital brands, including Vox.com, The Verge, Eater, New York Mag, Vulture, The Cut, and more. But most relevant to this conversation, our sports community, SB Nation. SB Nation is the destination for sports fans to obsess over their favorite teams and players together, with over 300 individual fan communities and a burgeoning video presence. And overall, SB Nation is dedicated to helping people become better and more knowledgeable sports fans. Vox Media also has our very own podcast network, driven by those 13 editorial brands, an award-winning branded content studio called Vox Creative, and a growing entertainment business known as Vox Media Studios, from whom you may have seen some of our programming on your favorite streaming services, like Vox Explained on Netflix. So that's my spiel. And with that said, I want to get into it with Jim. Hey, Jim.
Morning. Appreciate being part of this. Always enjoy talking a little bit about the great work we're doing.
Awesome. Well, I'm definitely going to give you time to shine and share all the great stuff you guys are doing. So first, I think we should level set for everybody listening. So sort of within Nationwide's larger marketing strategy, what specifically do you look to accomplish with your sports marketing?
Sports allows us to connect with target audiences in a more efficient manner where we can, based on priorities. We've got a long track record of building integrated marketing plans tied to sports sponsorships to go after different audiences, whether it's the golf fan, the NASCAR fan, the NFL fan, and more recently, our renewed effort around soccer and some great partnerships that we'll talk about here in a moment. But all of our partnerships, we have three core objectives that have been pretty consistent since I've been leading the Nationwide sports marketing portfolio. Everything we do has to track back to those three. We might dial up one or the other in a certain situation, but it's all about building the Nationwide brand more effectively and efficiently against that audience, driving real business results, and that can be influencing our producer behavior of our agents or guests, or actual policies like commercial or pet insurance or others with those different partnerships, and then ultimately the community philanthropic, which is in the core DNA of what we do at Nationwide, and how these partnerships can help further that objective as well.
Great. Do you happen to remember, Jim, the very first sports league that you decided to make a part of the Nationwide sports marketing portfolio?
Yeah, when I started with Nationwide 17 years ago, it was to lead our one and only sponsorship that we had, which was the Nationwide Tour. So it was a partnership with the PGA Tour developmental series on the tour, now the Corn Ferry Tour, but really remarkable opportunity to learn, and great people down at the PGA Tour, events all over the country, and really you got to cut our sponsorship teeth on a pretty unique partnership there.
Definitely. I watch a lot of golf, and I always admire how they kind of integrate the brands, especially on site. I feel like, it's really noticeable and valuable marketing. So cool to know that Nationwide has a long-standing PGA relationship. But why soccer? So a more recent investment in soccer, and obviously a deeper investment in soccer. Specifically, what about kind of that sport and the fans and the community there have you seen as being really valuable?
Yeah, as I said, we want to connect with those audience and show we're, the different fan bases that we're passionate about, what they're passionate about. And soccer is something we've been, looking at over the years. We've done a little bit here or there. Had a partnership with Alex Morgan around the Women's World Cup a few years ago, and have tried to find the right entry, and went down the path on some relationships, and didn't work out. But more recently, we've been able to sign a jersey sponsorship with our local Columbus Crew MLS club, and star Jossie Zardes, who's on the Crew, as well as the U.S. men's national team, and then more recently the women's National Women's Soccer League, which has been a great start to that partnership. But Again, great grassroots feel of the sport. It's upward trajectory, really excited us a lot. It's, large fan base, very active fan base, and very passionate in digital and social. So again, trying to find that right connection, but doing it in an authentic way. We've always had a really good recipe for success with these sponsorships, that you have the relationship with the property, you have the media support, and then you have the talent element to authentically help convey our position. And we want to do it right. And we're looking forward to do that in soccer.
That's great. Yeah, we really see the same thing on our side in terms of just the fervor and the excitement and the engagement of the kind of soccer community at large. SB Nation has 55 separate and active soccer community sites, and one of the most recent buzzworthy soccer happenings was, of course, this kind of failed Super League that they were talking about out of Europe, and SB Nation's coverage of that. We saw, like a monthly page view jump of, 200%, because everybody was just so passionate about, what they were going to do with their favorite teams, and, a lot of the politics behind it, and whether they were for it or against it, mostly against it in that case. But I think just even that really speaks to the opportunity that a brand like Nationwide would have to sort of make a connection with a consumer or a larger audience, kind of specifically, rooted in soccer. And I know, Jim, you quickly mentioned your relationship with MLS. Again, knowing that you guys are sort of the jersey sponsor for the defending MLS Cup champion, Columbus Crew, and obviously they're right in your backyard. Kind of what specific value do you see, from that partnership? How do you evaluate, right? I guess from a measurement perspective, like what are you looking for with the jersey sponsorship specifically, and sort of some of the other added value and visibility that you might get out of your relationship with the Crew?
Yeah, the Crew one was an interesting piece. We had not had a partnership previously with the Columbus Crew in the previous ownership. So with the Haslams coming into Columbus and saving the team and keeping them here in Columbus long term, building a world-class facility right in our backyard in the Arena District, right down from Nationwide Arena and Huntington Park. It's a great addition to our local community as well. It just made sense for us to have a presence. And as we explored, how could we be involved with the team as a core foundational partner, the jersey sponsorship was open. And it's something that we have experienced from an entitlement standpoint. We've put our name on series and golf tours and arenas and other areas. So it was a nice way for us to have a pretty authentic connection. You have some grill opportunities in the MLS, knowing that our competitor Allstate has the league-wide relationship, but our jersey front and center on the team, and obviously the success they've been having, as defending champion, and the new stadium, all the excitement leading into a great fit for a long-term partnership that we've made with the team. Creating all types of programs. There's the brand exposure locally, the brand exposure nationally, but we've got business building programs with agents and entertainment, and all the other social digital content that we can build with Jossie and others that we'll work with throughout the life of the partnership.
Cool. I see the jersey hanging right behind you. Yeah, that's the current?
That is the current. Yep, that launched in the season opener a couple weeks ago. That's
awesome. With the soccer jerseys, they don't shy away. It's like big, it's right across the chest, as opposed to, the NBA with those little teeny shoulder patches. So, that's cool that soccer does it a little bit differently. And I think, fans and consumers are kind of used to seeing that. So that's definitely a great opportunity. And also earlier, Jim, you hit on Alex Morgan quickly, you hit on Women's World Cup. But I do kind of want to talk about, I guess, women's soccer specifically, right? And it's clear again that Nationwide is investing, more deliberately and heavily in women's soccer as a marketing vehicle around the Women's World Cup, but also the NWSL. And I guess as you think about the opportunity around women's soccer compared to soccer more broadly, what does women's soccer specifically bring to the marketing equation in terms of, the visibility around the sport, obviously the talent, Megan Rapinoe and Alex and all these people that are, have been super visible and sort of active in their communities over the last, several months and years, and the fan base. How do you kind of think about that?
Yeah, we've had a pretty long history of supporting high profile women athletes and entertainers like Danica Patrick in NASCAR and her entry into that space, Alex Morgan around the U.S. Women's National Team, Tori Kelly, more recently Jill Scott in some of our advertising campaigns. But I think it all tracks back. We want to, if we're going to do this, we want to do it in a very authentic manner with the fan base, because fans will see right through it if you're just in it for a short term, hang the sign or run your spots, that type of thing. So as we looked at, where else in soccer, we've been looking at the National Women's Soccer League for a few years, and just have seen incredible growth with that group and sophistication over the last couple of years, new leadership, and we wanted to try to find a way to partner with them in a meaningful way. You've got 40 million soccer fans that are women. The upward trajectory and the spikes that they see coming out of the Olympics and the World Cup that's coming in 2023, it just really positioned well for a league partnership. And I love the way that that team really looks at their league as a way. This is only their 9th season, but really position it as a way as they don't have 50 years of reasons to say no to different platforms and ideas, which was pretty exciting for us. And to be able to connect with a women fan base, dominated fan base is exciting for us. The diversity and the talent that we see across the NWSL. These are the best players in the world that are playing in this league. Many members of the national teams from countries all over the world. So that diversity, the stage in life, you have rookies like Dennis Rodman's daughter, who's just drafted number 2 overall, to seasoned veterans like Megan Rapinoe and that have been around, family, mothers, and all the different life stages that we can work with as a company, and we think is just a great connection for Nationwide.
I did not know that about Dennis Rodman's daughter. That's very interesting.
Yes, they had a great engagement around their draft and in January, and it was great to see headlines for the NWSL on Sports Center and other places.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the SB Nation side too, right? Like we've been increasing our cover. I mean, we've always covered women's soccer, quite deeply, but specifically around the NWSL now with all this interest and all the talent, like you mentioned. I know that the NWSL Challenge Cup, was recent, and we kind of like dedicated a lot of editorial coverage, to that, and again, really saw some great engagement across our soccer community, specifically around around that league and women's soccer in general. So, and one of the things that we had talked about, Jim, was specifically within your relationship with the NWSL. One of the components that you're kind of really excited about and proud of is this Community Impact Award. I know that you guys also kind of work charitable components into some of your other sports marketing sponsorships, like with the PGA Tour. You're also involved with the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award. So maybe talk a little bit about that community impact component of the NWSL deal.
Yeah, as I mentioned at Nationwide, it is in our core DNA to give back and have that community impact and integrate that into our relationship. So we do have the 8th year of our Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year relationship with the NFL. We've raised $44 million in our sports marketing assets across golf and other properties since 2011, and we really wanted to build something similar with the NWSL. I think connecting with the players in that way, and they're already doing a lot in their communities. They're leaning into social justice initiatives, pay equity, all these important items that is another reason why we want to be such a big supporter of these players and these teams. And so we've worked with the league to build a platform to encourage even more investment in the community and their activities. We'll recognize those across the teams, and at the end of the year, select one team to recognize at an even higher level and working with the players there. So it's just in our way to try to give back and kind of amplify the work that's being done and telling their stories of what they want to, what messages they want to get out there in a bigger way.
Cool. Yeah, beautiful. I mean, we know, on our side, just from our insights team, that business leaders and brands are kind of the new voice of cause and causes, and consumers, really, I think, are finding more positive affiliation with brands who are coming right out and saying, what's important to them and what their values are, and for Nationwide to sort of incorporate, some of those components into their overall sponsorship structure, I think, really puts you guys, gives you guys a leg up in terms of standing out in that way, and developing even kind of deeper consumer relationships. So that's
and the important thing is that this is not a new thing for us. I mean, we've been a leader in corporate diversity for decades, and so I think to find a property that aligns so well to our values and be able to help assist and expand that conversation and demonstrate that value, I think is just again a great fit.
Absolutely. Cool. And then, Jim, you had touched upon the relationship with the Women's World Cup and with Alex Morgan, but I'm not sure we went, super deep into it. So I was wondering if you could, talk a little bit more kind of specifically about how that sponsorship worked, and sort of what were some of those different business benefits that you were able to derive sort of working like at the World Cup level, at the global level, and specifically with Alex, who we know is a really kind of like reputable and well-known, figure within that community.
Yeah, we did a campaign called Band Together with Alex, and she's got her pre-wrap headband that she always wears, and it was kind of this effort to tell that story and connect with kind of the youth that look at them as role models, and the U.S. Women's National Team as role models, and so we tied it in leading into the World Cup a few years ago. Had a significant media buy with Fox, and was able to roll that out in a creative way. And, Alex, we partnered with her for a number of years afterwards, and she was, phenomenal in our, conferences, meetings, events, other things that we would spend time with her. So it's great to be able to, reconnect with her as a player for Orlando and in the NWSL. And, we've got a lot of learnings on that. I mean, we've taken different approaches to sponsorship over the years. That was a little more media heavy, talent heavy piece. But what we do with Peyton, what we've done with Jack Nicklaus, Dale Jr., Danica Patrick, others, we take a little bit of learning from each of those and try to apply it in these new relationships we get in.
Very cool. So I guess my one of my last questions, something that I think would be interesting to cover. You guys obviously have deep relationships within sports marketing and broad, right? You've mentioned NASCAR and PGA and soccer and NFL. So what's next? Like, what are you excited about? Maybe not even like a new sport, but a new area, or how does the sports marketing practice inside of Nationwide sort of continue to build and prepare for whatever the future of sport looks like?
Yeah, I think it's evolved in this last year. I mean, we've talent's always been an incredibly important part of what we do. Experiences are an important part of connecting with our business partners and producers. And I think as we move to a more business to business focused effort, I think leveraging the access and the talent in a unique way has helped us bridge this very tough year and having to go virtual. And we've created some incredible experiences. The first ever virtual Pro-Am last May with a number of golfers, Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus, Peyton Manning, and some experiences that we were able to connect with our business partners in that unique way. But we've probably done 50 to 60 other virtual events, since that time, including, the NFL draft a few weeks ago with Peyton and Trevor Lawrence and a few others. That it's just a different way to connect and broaden the reach. And I think that's going to stay. We're going to get back to in person and host and entertain. But I think the interesting part is with talent schedules and all that, that's been an element that is going to live long term, that we're going to continue to expand and work with our talent in the NWSL to connect with different audiences and targeted audiences. So I think, that flexibility and people's comfort level of, spending a half an hour, on a Zoom call and having a real two-way conversation with an NFL player or an NWSL player has been kind of an eye-opener to us that, that our guests and our producers really get a lot out of.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting, right? We've all like been in each other's homes, forever. And, but thinking about that as it relates to like your real talent relationships and trying to bring some of those experiences that you guys have, been so strong at in person and sort of translating them over virtually. I'm sure you guys had some really interesting learnings there. How does a virtual pro-am work? And my ears perked up when you mentioned that. I'm not sure.
We had to move everything around last year with the Memorial Golf Tournament, which we have coming up actually in a couple of weeks here in Columbus. And we were able to, get time with Jack Nicklaus. Tiger Woods was playing in the event at the time. And, it was kind of a build of the evening and had Peyton Manning spend a little time doing a Q&A with our guests, and then actually did breakouts with 10 individual pros. So you had Rory McIlroy and Phil and others that would actually do a little Q&A with a smaller group of, 5 to 7 people. So they got the big names on the upfront and also the interaction, personal interaction. So it worked really well. People loved it. It was kind of in the comfort of their own home. You send, gifting and, pre and post-event gifting and all the other things that come with it. So we tried to make, the best out of the situation we could. And it's pretty powerful lineup with, 3 icons like Jack, Tiger, and Peyton.
Absolutely. Yeah. It sounds like, you guys are being nimble and that sounds pretty great. So good for you guys. Cool. That's all I have for you, Jim. I think, that was really insightful, and hopefully a lot of folks listening can kind of learn from some of your best practices and the successes that you guys have had at Nationwide. And I really enjoyed talking to you. So thanks very much for the time.
Yeah. Appreciate the time. Good catching up.